Nadolig llawn, a Merry Christmas and welcome to Jude's Christmas Craft Grotto. You'll have a goodie bag and inside it there will be everything you need to make, create and decorate 5 different Christmas crafts, which I'm going to show you how to make in this film. Included in your bag will be things like paints, crayons, pencils. There'll also be lots of glue, sticky tape, that kind of thing to help us construct our crafts. With everything in your bag, you'll be able to make these 5 different Christmas crafts. We've got Father Christmas with his paper chain beard, a game for all the family that involves Christmas dinner and bouncing sprouts, some lovely little fingerprint pictures, bunting and your very own snow globes. The first one we're going to make is a Father Christmas with a long paper chain beard. You will need a paper plate, some coloured pencils and paints, a pencil, a glue stick, your double-sided tape, some white paper. You've also got spare brushes so more people can paint. So the first thing we need to do is get a paper plate. We're not going to work on the front because that's often shiny and it's hard to paint. Turn it over and draw Father Christmas's face. Now, we're not going to include his beard, so you think about his eyes, his nose, his mouth, maybe his moustache and his bushy eyebrows, but keep his chin clear. Once you've drawn Father Christmas's face, you can use your pencils and your paints to colour him in. Set it aside to dry and then move on to making his beard. The beard is created from small paper chains. For this you'll need white paper, scissors and a glue stick. We start off by cutting some thin strips of white paper. These strips don't need to be too big, so we'll just cut them in half. So if you've never made a paper chain before, you always start with one complete loop. So you're going to pop a little bit of glue on one end of the paper and then fold it back on itself to create a ring. Slide the next bit of paper through the loop and do the same thing. Pop a little bit of glue on the end and then close the hoop. Keep going until you've got quite a few loops on your paper chain. Once you feel like you've got enough paper chains for a beard, we're going to use a last strip of paper, slide it through the top loop, and then instead of making a circle, we're just going to make a teardrop shape. Can you see that there? Glue that together, pinch it closed, and this will make it much easier to attach it to Santa's chin. We'll be sticking it down by using double-sided tape. So cut a small section of the tape off, stick it down, and then you're going to peel the backing paper off. It can be a little bit fiddly, but it'll be really strong and hold his beard in place well. Arrange your paper chains around his chin. So Father Christmas's head is going to get a bit cold, so I think we need to make him a hat. Use your red paper and just very loosely measure how wide it needs to be. Cut it out, and then you can use your white paper to make the trim along the bottom, and don't forget to add a little bobble on the end of Santa's hat. Use your double-sided tape to stick it to Santa's forehead. So we've got Father Christmas. He's finished, but now it's up to you how long his beard's going to be. So whilst you're making your Christmas crafts, any scrap bits of paper you've got left over, just keep them in the bag because you never know when you're going to need to use them again. Our next activity is to create a mini snow globe. For this you're going to need a plastic cup, paper plate, some of the sticky pads, some cotton wool balls, your double-sided tape and glue stick, some coloured pencils, a drawing pencil, some sticky white dots, scissors and some thick white paper. We're going to start by cutting out the centre of our paper plate. Be careful when you push the scissors through, and if you're small, get a grown-up to help you. This will become the base of our snow globe. Once you've got the circle, go back round with your scissors and give it a slightly wobbly line to make it look a bit more like melted snow. So before you start, think about what character you'd like in your snow globe. You might want to do a self-portrait or a little group of friends and family, or you could just do a Christmas tree. I think for my snow globe, I'm going to go for a classic snowman. We need to measure how big our character's going to be. We don't want it to be too big that it fills the whole cup, but we don't want it to be too tiny either. Measure it against your cup and sketch it out. We also need to leave a little strip of extra cardboard below our picture because this will be bent backwards and help us stick it on our base. Once you've drawn your picture, you can use your coloured pencils to colour it in. Do one side, cut it out, and then you can add colour to the reverse because I'll be able to see the back of my snowman's hat and the back of his scarf. Fold the extra piece of cardboard back on itself and stick it using your double-sided tape. So to create our snow scene, we're going to use white sticky dots. These can be stuck on the inside and outside of our cup. To help our characters stand and to make it more Christmassy, pull apart one of your cotton wool buds and then gently glue it around the base of your character to make it look like they're in a snow scene. To attach our cup on top of our character, take one of your double-sided sticky pads and cut it into 3. Stick these evenly around the base of your cup. Peel the backing off the double-sided pads. Pop it over your character and make sure it's stuck to the base. And there we have our mini snow globe. The next activity is Christmas dinner tennis. So everyone needs a paper plate. You'll also need some paints and pencils, wide lolly stick, a pencil to draw with, some water balloons, some green tissue and some of the sticky pads. So this is really good fun and you want as many people to join in as possible. The first thing we need to think about is what would be your most ideal Christmas dinner, and you need to draw that on your paper plate. So I'm going to add peas, carrots, parsnips. Once you've drawn your dinner, either use your pencils or your paints to colour it in. Once you've done your first layer of paint, put it aside to dry. We can then go back over it with either another layer of paint or put some detail in with our coloured pencils. And I forgot to add the gravy. So our Christmas dinner becomes our tennis bat. So you're going to turn it over, take your wide lolly stick, add one of the sticky pads to it, and then we want to stick this to our plate, not on the edge because it'll be too floppy, so you want to go in a bit, give that a press. So this is our bat. Our ball is going to be one of these water balloons. So very gently give it a stretch and then blow it up. Now you can see they're not very big, so don't overblow them. Tie a knot in it. And then using some of your green tissue paper, give yourself a bit of a leaf. We've got a bit of a leaf shape. To attach our leaf, use a little bit of your sticky tape. So pop that on, peel it off and then just stick it on. And there we have an instant sprout that we need to try and catch on our Christmas dinner. Now you can bat it up and down yourself, or if everyone makes them, you can try and get them on each other's plates. And we've got sprouts, but obviously if you use orange balloons, you could have carrots. Just use your imagination. Our next activity is wax resist bunting. So for this, we'll need our green pieces of paper, pencil, scissors, some thread, our crayons, that's the wax part of the wax resist, paints and pencils. So this is a really enjoyable activity for all ages. Everyone can get involved and there's no right or wrong way of doing it. Spread your pieces of paper across your table, and then using your wax crayons, you're just going to take your crayons for a walk. So you're going to create some nice doodly patterns. Everyone can add their mark and just enjoy. You can use any colours you like as well. You don't need to keep with the green Christmassy theme. So we're just going to enjoy making patterns. So you're going to cover your sheets completely before we paint them. So you're going to use lots of different colours. You're going to blend them together, and you're not going to use it too thickly because you want the wax to be able to pop through the paint. Our sheet's nice and dry. We're going to fold it in half because we want our trees not to be too big. And then we're going to concertina it. So just like making a fan, you're going to fold back and forth. And then we're going to draw half a Christmas tree. So we've got our folds here. And unlike a chain of people, we don't want these to be connected. So we're not going to go right the way off the edge, but just right up to it. So we're going to do our little trees and then cut them out. It's quite thick, the paper, so if you're struggling, get a grown-up to give you a hand. So you'll have a selection of really beautiful decorated trees. This is just one part of a sheet, so do the other sheets as well, and then put them in an order that you like before we string them onto the string. We're going to need to make a little hole in the top. Now you could do this with a pin or the scissors. It's probably best if you get a grown-up to help you. Or you could just poke the end of a pencil through just to make a little hole, not too big. So do that all the way along, and then you'll have thread in your pack as well. Pull off a length of thread, and then we're going to string them together. Now give yourself a little bit at the end, because this is what we're going to tie our bunting up with. And then we're going to go through the hole, make sure it's clear enough. Like I say, leave yourself a little bit of a tail there. And then also tie a knot, because we don't want them all to touch each other. So just tie a little knot there before you move on to the next one. And then do that until the whole string is filled. Your bunting can be as long as you like. So this is just a small section, but you could make a really long length that could go across the room. Another idea would be to decorate both sides. So once one side's dry, do exactly the same technique on the other side, so that when they flutter, there'll be patterns on both sides. So you'll end up with your bunting. Our final activity is family fingerprints. So these are a really lovely memento that you could either put in a frame or give away as a gift. You need everybody's fingers in the family, from the smallest right up to the biggest. And what we do is we paint on our fingers, just like that, and leave a fingerprint. Now you might have to experiment with how thick the paint is. You could experiment with painting on the fingers, or if you wanted to, you could just use the paints like an ink blot. Once these are dry, we then add some details. So our little brown fingerprints can be transformed into little reindeers. Our little red fingerprints can be turned into robins. And if we do multicoloured ones, they can become a chain of fairy lights. And if you make these as a picture or as a card to give to people, don't forget to add the date, because children's fingerprints will be a bit bigger next year. So these are a lovely way of capturing a moment in time. So the ideas that I've shared with you today are just a starting off point. Use them as inspiration and adapt them to suit your family. So all that remains is for me and Father Christmas to wish you a very merry and creative Christmas. Ho, ho, ho.